Hey there everyone, Teish here, back again with another video, and welcome to the Linux series again. If you haven't watched the previous videos, go ahead, watch them. They're pretty amazing and you should not miss them. So let's go ahead and talk about another issues on the Linux, which I'm pretty sure most of you have faced it, which is problems in Linux. Now, whenever the first time you try to install the Linux, it's pretty obvious that you mess it up and even crash your system. It's totally okay. So first and foremost, let me know in the comment section, have you ever tried to install Linux? And if you have tried, was it a successful attempt or was it a bad one? Let me know in the comment section. I'll read all of them. Now let's talk about the variety of issues and problems that you face while installing the Linux based on variety of cases. Case number one, when you have a fresh computer or fresh machine and it has nothing in it and you want to install an operating system on it, maybe Ubuntu, CentOS, whatever your favorite one is. This is really an ideal case because you don't have anything important in your machine when you install that. Things are usually going to go okay and things usually go okay. The case number two is a little bit different from that. The case number two is when you have a Windows on your operating system and you try to install a Linux on top of that. Let me introduce a concept here, which is very important, and because of that concept, you usually mess up your operating system. And sometimes you even lose your important files in the Windows. Whenever you install a operating system, first and foremost, it usually gets installed on a primary disk. We are going to later understand the concept of this primary partition and secondary partition. That's for a later discussion. Now, when you install any operating system, the concept of grub and bootloader should be very clear to all of you. The bootloader is the very first file. Whenever your machine boots up, it just reaches out to the bootloader first and foremost. The bootloader, imagine a person who just shows the direction. It knows nothing much, it just shows the direction. When you install a Windows on your operating system, this bootloader tells, hey, you need to go in that direction, and there is the Windows which you want to load up. So all of your animation after that, the Windows sound and everything just start loading after that. The moment you try to install a Linux operating system, the very end of the installation is managing that bootloader. So when you install a Linux, the bootloader of the Windows is overwritten by the bootloader of Linux. Now you have a guy who is not pointing towards the window, but instead is pointing towards the Linux. Now, in most of the Linux, whenever there are 2 or 3 operating systems being installed, the bootloader is designed in such a way that it can point out to the multiple direction, and hence you see the menu where you can just select any of the operating system. In the case when you try to delete the Linux, there you go, you see the problem now. Because you don't have any bootloader who is pointing to any direction, that's why your Windows is there, but since the bootloader is not there, that's why nobody is there to tell in which direction the system should go, and hence you lose your operating system. But no worries, your files are still there. In case you can load up any pen drive or something, you can still get that, but that's for a later discussion again. So in the later on in the series, we are going to talk more about these grub, the bootloader, how to fix them, and a whole lot of issues. Right now, we don't want to get into the issues where you have something important in your machine, and I don't want you to lose that. So we're going to discuss what are the possible solutions and a whole bunch of other things. Now, first and foremost, make sure you hit that subscribe button and hit that like button as well. Then only we are going to move forward. This video is powered by AI, so that only if you hit the subscribe button, then only it's going to move forward. Just kidding. Anyways, hit that subscribe button. Now let's move forward and try to find out what can be the possible solution for this problem. The Linux installation is of variety of types, and probably we're going to discuss all of them. But the most common and the easier one for us right now is the virtualization. Virtualization is an important and very interesting concept, and it's the kind of a basis for a variety of cloud computing as well. But maybe cloud computing class is going to be on some another day. Right now, we're going to have just the core important basics of virtualization so that you understand what you're using, how that works, and how the basics of that goes on. I see many people who are using the virtualization and don't even understand the concept of what's going on under the hood. So in this video, let's go ahead and talk a little bit about virtualization concepts as well. So first and foremost, we need to understand a diagram, and it took me a little bit while to create that one. So first and foremost, in all of the machines, we have our hardware. By the term hardware, I simply means your processor, your RAMs, and everything. You understand the point, what the hardware is. Now, this first diagram is going to be the basis of most of the servers that you see. All the servers that are hosted, you know them by a variety of names: Heroku, GoDaddy, Netlify, and a whole bunch of other things. This is the concept for this one. And what we'll be using, that's going to come up in a minute. So have patience. So first and foremost, we do have our hardware layer. On top of this hardware layer, we install a virtualization layer. This virtualization layer is very famously known as being given to us by ESX or ESXi, all these things. But no worries, we have a variety of other virtualization. This is usually given to us by companies like VMware, but there are a lot of other companies who are competing in the market. I have just chosen one because it's easy to understand. On top of the hardware layer, you install a virtualization layer. What this virtualization layer gives us is a lot of flexibility. On top of this virtualization layer, you can install an operating system and can containerize that. This containerization is super important. This containerization allows that whatever you install in that operating system remains in that container only and doesn't leak out anywhere else. On that operating system, let's just say you have installed an Ubuntu and you want to run a Django application. You can just host your application in that entire OS or maybe whatever you want to do. Let's just say another person comes up and he wants to utilize the same hardware. That means through this virtualization layer, we can allow him to install another operating system, maybe CentOS, and still containerize that so that it doesn't leak out to other OS, and can install another app in that, probably a Node.js app. We can containerize that. So similarly, you see the concept that a virtualization layer actually makes your hardware super powerful. And this is the reason why you see a lot of servers and big companies actually use that. So we can have as many OS and as many apps we like. Oh my gosh, how many I put that there? Okay, there we go, finally. So this is the base core concept. The concept that we are going to use is going to be a little bit different from that. So closely take a look on this diagram and this diagram. There is just a slight difference, the white line. This white line is your operating system. In our case, the case scenario is a little bit different. We do have our hardware, but on top of that hardware, there is already an operating system. It can be Windows, it can be Linux, it can be Mac, it can be anything. So what we need to do on top of that OS, we need to install this virtualization layer. And this is totally different from the previous slide that we have seen there. Yes, still we can have our OS and app and containerize that. That's totally possible. But the big question is, why do we want to do the first one when we have the second one? We can install an OS like Windows, and on top of that, we can have virtualization. That's a discussion for the performance. And in this scenario, what we are going to use, the performance is not as great as what we saw in the previous one. That's why most of the servers use that. So here I bring you the concept of hypervisor. Hypervisor is nothing, just the layer that you have seen for ESX and ESXi. This is known as the concept of hypervisors. And we have two types of hypervisors, the type 1 and type 2. No, I'm not making these names up. These are the official name given to the hypervisor. On a side note, these concepts usually you don't read in your BTech or your engineering. These are the more advanced concepts that you learn. I even learned that during my master's and initial days of PhD. So don't worry, don't sweat out that college is not teaching me. These are fairly more advanced concepts. So moving forward, we have two types of hypervisor here. The one that loads directly on the hardware. This performance is super amazing. It's really the base core concept behind most of the cloud computing that you see. One of the examples of performing all these things is Hyper-V. But don't sweat out again, VMware is not the only one which provides that. We have Microsoft in the game, we have Google in the game, we have Amazon in the game, so a whole bunch of companies are trying to do that. On the other hand, we have type 2, which load on the OS. Of course, this makes sense for us because we have already got an operating system. So in that case, we have example like Fusion software. Again, don't sweat it out if you haven't heard the name of Fusion software. We have a lot of them. We have VMware Player, which is again a free one. And on a side note, VMware Workstation is the paid one. VMware Player is the free one. So you can use VMware Player. You can use Fusion, which is, I guess, only for Mac operating system. And also we can use Virtualbox. This Virtualbox is going to be the software for our choice because it comes totally for free and is cross-platform. And you know me, I prefer to use the things which are cross-platform and is easily available there. So here's the list of tools that we are going to use for this entire series. The first one is going to be VirtualBox, available at virtualbox.org. I will not name its parent company because that company is notoriously known for putting up a lot of copyright claims. And the second thing that we are going to be using for this series is going to be Ubuntu. Now, also I have mentioned here the CentOS. The reason for that is very specific. Although you think that Linux is open source and you can go ahead and make a change on any file that you like, but that's not the case for many of the operating system. Some of the operating system keeps some of the files very restricted and you cannot make any changes in that. Ubuntu is one of them. If I want to talk more about the grubs and want to show you some things about bootloaders, that is not at all possible on Ubuntu system. So for that understanding, and later on in the series, we are going to need CentOS as well. The commands are going to be a little bit different for CentOS, but don't worry, I'm here. I'm going to walk you through with both of these operating systems. So in the initial days, I recommend you to go for VirtualBox. This is compulsory. And then also grab yourself a copy of Ubuntu. I'll talk about that in a minute as well. And we also want to grab a copy of CentOS. Remember, once and only after that, I walk you through with the installation of Ubuntu. Then only I'll give you an assignment to install CentOS. Before that, if you're going to make it, probably chances are high you can mess up some of the things. I don't want you to do that. So let's open up this VirtualBox first and foremost. It's a pretty basic website. You can just click on this big button. It's going to download it it's available for all of it, Windows, Linux, and Mac. So go ahead and download this one. We're going to learn the installation of it in this video. And then we have got Ubuntu as well. So we're going to click on Ubuntu. The website is pretty obvious, but still I have mentioned it because I don't want you to just hang around there. And you also want to get a CentOS. First and foremost, let's talk a little bit onto the Ubuntu side. When you're going to Ubuntu, it gives you a whole lot of operating system and the download is very rich in this case. If I just click on that, you can see a lot of downloads are there for server, for desktop, for IoT, for cloud. Which one should I get? Now, in our case, we are looking up for Ubuntu desktop to get friendly and familiar with the command line and all of that. I recommend you to go for 18 point, whatever the version you are having, or probably 19, 20, whatever that is. Go ahead, grab the latest one. The course is going to work absolutely fine for that. And you want to grab the LTS version. When you will be downloading such open source systems, you're going to see this word quite a lot, which is LTS. LTS stands for long-term support. In a shorter and easier manner, the LTS means it's much more stable compared to whatever the latest release is. Latest release sometimes have some of the experimental features which may even crash or may create some of the problems. Usually not the case, but it may happen. That's why they put the word LTS. You're going to see this quite a lot in Node, in Ubuntu, in other operating system as well. So make sure now you don't just see LTS, you know the meaning behind that. So go ahead, click on that and just grab the Ubuntu desktop for now. And in case you have good download speed, also keep a copy of this one with you. So now let's go ahead and minimize this one. I have already got my VirtualBox here. In this video, we're going to only see the installation of VirtualBox, and the Ubuntu installation requires a separate video itself. So the installation is pretty simple. We're going to hit the next and the very legendary installation system of Windows, which is click next, next, next. I agree. Yes. Okay. So we're going to click on next again. We want everything to be default here and just click on install. Depends on the speed of your operating system and the speed of your drives to write the files. This is going to take a little bit while. But again, no worries. Looks like my system is asking for permission. Please go ahead and give that. And it's a fairly easy installation process. Okay, yes, please install everything, whatever you need. And looks like it's going to take a little bit second. Now here's my recommendation to all of you. Please wait for the next video for the Ubuntu installation. I want to discuss a lot of things there that we are going to talk. Okay, so it says that your PC requires a restart. Sometime it is when you install new drivers. So this is the first look of our VirtualBox. And that's it. We don't want to do anything further in that. So let me go back up here onto our presentations. So there we go. So now we have got all the tools. So go ahead, download a copy of Ubuntu and CentOS, and we're going to talk a lot about that. But before you go finally there, here's the quick assignment. If you're reading from this series and you are enjoying it, make sure you share it with your friends as well. So click a photo with this series, a selfie maybe, and post it on the Instagram and tag me there. I would love to see that. If you haven't hit that subscribe button, go ahead and hit that subscribe button. And I hope you're enjoying the series. Let me know in the comment section if you're enjoying it so that I can continue it. That's it for this video, and let's catch up in the next one.